Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel where we discuss all things narcissism, and this video is going to be a little bit more information about the compassionate narcissist, compassionate narcissism, which seems to be a growing epidemic because you are no longer allowed to have an opinion or speak out about something for fear of those people who are going to attack you. However, they're going to attack you in such a way that they accuse you of attacking them so that people look poorly on you. And when it comes to these people, they are the least humble people you could ever meet. You will often find with genuine people, with caring people, with good people, we can all make mistakes, they will be humble in the things that they do. With compassionate narcissistic people, they're looking to show the world, they're looking to brag and boast about just how amazing they are, what a good person they are, how helpful they are. Now, some don't do it in the overt way. Some don't go straight out and say, look at me, this is what I've done, this is what I'm doing. Some will go all out to drop hints after hint after hint until you pick up on it. And then once you pick up on it and say, oh, I didn't know that you were doing this, they'll then continue to bring it around to what they are doing. Now, with other compassionate narcissistic people, they're incredibly exploitative people. So they might keep quiet. They might seem like they're being humble because they don't want one group of friends learning what they are doing to another group of friends. They don't want one community learning what they're doing to another community because they've lied their way in there so that they can exploit what they want. Like some charity workers, and you can have many genuine charity workers, you can have many genuinely homeless people, and then you can have that person who pretends to be homeless that starts helping out in the charity so that they can take from the charity, although they'll not be taking because people will feel sorry for them, so people will be giving them stuff and then they think that that's hey-okay. They act in a benevolent manner. They act like they're being well-meaning volunteers and they're really helpful and they're really doing their bit for the world when they are actually hiding their malevolent behavior from people. There's always got to be something in it for them. There's got to be some reward in it for them. And they often believe that everybody should just agree with them. And if you do not agree with them, you're wrong. You can't have that where, for example, vegans and meat eaters. You can't have that where, and it's the extremists. There's plenty of decent, genuine vegan people, and there's plenty of decent, genuine meat eaters out there in the world. However, you then get that extremist vegan or that extremist meat eater that wants to prove that their way of living is the only way of living and that they are right. And they're going to attack you. They might come at you saying that, does the climate change? And that's a whole other topic. Does the climate change not bother you because they're unwilling to see how they negatively impact the climate? They don't see that both vegans and meat eaters have a negative impact on the climate. I don't know the scientific facts behind climate change, so I'm not going to go into that because I do not know all the information. Same as vegans and meat eaters, I do not know all the information. What I do know is there is a select few extremists that go all out to attack one group to prove themselves right. And what they want to do is they want to have some sort of virtue in why their way of living is better than yours and why you should convert to their way of living. They want to take the moral high ground, and they often take the moral high ground by when you point out that there is a flaw in their way of thinking, they then turn around and attack you rather than debating the issue. Narcissistic people can't handle being wrong. They have to be in the right. And we can all have a way of thinking about something. We can all have that belief, and then new information comes along and we can think, oh, got that a little bit wrong there. Now I'm going to have to admit to being wrong. Oops. And then you proceed to admit to being wrong. Narcissistic people double down in their vendetta because they take it personally that you've managed to expose them. They believe that you have humiliated them on purpose. They believe you have humiliated them on purpose. So they seek to attack you because that's what they do. They seek to humiliate you. You'll often find with these kinds of people, as much as they're fighting for their cause because they believe that they are self-righteous and virtuous and they're helping save the planet, or they're helping to get equal rights, they're helping with this, they're helping with that, they fail to recognise the downside of it. They fail to recognise the suffering that other people go for. You can have this with extreme feminists. Now, again, I don't know the ins and outs of all that. I do know that the originals worked very hard for a lot of things, which gave us some of the privileges that we have today. However, I also know that some men suffer horrifically. Some men struggle. Men are the ones that are picked for the wars. And very little is said about that. So men go through suffering just as women do. So yes, as much as we need people to fight for our rights, it's the extremists that come along with their compassionate narcissism and take over that group to prove that they are in the right. And if you dare speak out against them, they play the victim. They're so hard done to. You're attacking them. You're not listening to them. You're not helping them because you're not doing what they want you to do, and they're failing to recognise what they're doing to you. However, they will happily gather armies of enablers and flying monkeys to attack you, to smear your name, to discredit your character, to ruin your reputation, to go after your friends, go after your family, to threaten you, to intimidate you, to shut you down. So this oh so compassionate person that cares oh so much about whatever it is they are fighting for, yeah, they're not a genuine person. They're a compassionate narcissistic person who would never do anything wrong or quite happily see you suffer to prove themselves right. They have to take the moral high ground. They will go on and on about how they would never do something. They would never do such a thing. Yet they'll happily intimidate people so that people fear having a voice around them. They get a strong support system going around them because they get people who believe what they're saying. Because one of the main things about this is some of the things that they are saying is actually true. So you can feel for them. You can empathise with them. You can see their point of view. However, just because some of the things they are saying is true doesn't mean the rest of it is, or that the facts are all in place. They've sort of gone with a belief and run with it, and then believe that everyone should just go along with what they're saying and what they're doing. And even when it comes to narcissism, we are capable of acting in narcissistic ways. It's the intentions behind the behaviour. We can learn something and we can run with it, and then later down the line we can think, with that new evidence, that might not actually be the case. Narcissistic people double down to prove their point. They won't take a step back to evaluate everything. So they get that strong support system going, and they are some of the most self-righteous arrogant people you could ever meet, and they are arrogant because they often lack the ability to recognise their own inadequacies. However, this compassionate narcissist, who would never hurt anybody, who would never do anything wrong, will attack all your faults and flaws and humiliate you and shame you so they can feel better about themselves. And then they'll sit there all smug because they've got one over on you. They're not interested in debating a situation. They like the valid argument. They're interested in accusing you of something. They're not interested in looking at it from all angles. They're interested in having everything their own way. And the thing with compassionate narcissistic types is they are so easily offended. Now, we can all be offended by stuff. However, you do need some form of humour in life, because life is pretty miserable at times and can be pretty negative at times. So you do need some form of humour to get you through. And we have used humour for generations. And yes, this is a new generation. And yes, we do need to adapt and we do need to change. And some people fight harder to change, and some people fight harder to avoid change. And all this is doing is creating a bigger divide between people, and less people are coming together. When somebody makes just a random joke that's not directed at any particular person, but a group might find that joke offensive. It's not aimed at you. It's just a joke to lighten the mood that that particular group has such a thought process belief on something that other people can't grasp, so they make a joke to make light of the situation. So as much as we have to teach people not to be offensive, we also have to teach people not to be offended. When it comes to people that are having personal attacks directed straight at you as a person, constantly, repeatedly, and then claiming they're only joking, they're only messing around, they're not. What they're doing is humiliating you and pulling you down and tearing you down and hurting your feelings. When you read something online and think, ooh, I might be able to do that, but that's because of this, so they're wrong, you are wrong, then that's an issue that you have to work on. You have to recognise that, oh, that post has just set something off in me that I don't like. So here's a complete stranger that said something that I don't agree with. Do I need to attack that person? Or can I communicate with that person? Because as soon as somebody goes on the defensive and attacks another person, it discredits them instantly. Although for the majority of compassionate narcissistic people, they latch on to this to help that person out so that they can claim that they're being virtuous, claim that they're being helpful, claim that they're being kind and acting in a well-meaning manner because they're trying to protect people. When it comes to compassionate narcissistic types, it's one rule for them and another rule for you. So they're allowed to speak their mind. They're allowed to change things to how they want things to be. Yet you're not. If you say something, they accuse you of attacking them. They play the victim. They target you and then they change it so that you're the one that's causing all the issues. Just like people wanting to rewrite books that have been written by people, many people who have now passed away, and they were written in the words that they wrote them in, not to be offensive, just because that's how then things were said and then things were done. So if you want to change anything, leave the history as it is and learn from it. You can't change the past. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to change the past. Leave that as it is and learn from it and change the future. Yet, if they want to change words in a book because they find the language spoken in that book to be offensive towards them. Yet if you find it offensive that they want to change the writings of a dead man and how that person wanted their books to be written, if you find that offensive and speak up, their compassionate narcissism disappears, and in turn they attack you because your opinion does not match their narrative. And we've all got different opinions, we've all got different beliefs, we've all got different values. It's trying to find a way, whatever way that is, to get people to come together and work together. Because the more we're splitting people apart, the worse it's going to get. If anyone has any thoughts on this video, please do add those into the comments. Thank you very much to all the returning subscribers and your continued support with the channel. It's greatly appreciated. If you are new to the channel, I'm Elizabeth Shaw. This channel is all about narcissistic behaviour to give you more understanding of the people you might be dealing with within your life, how to handle yourself around those people if you cannot go no contact, and different methods to find what works for you to help you understand and overcome narcissistic and emotional abuse. If you do find the information helpful on the channel, please do subscribe. If you are looking for further help and support in understanding and overcoming narcissistic and emotional abuse, I do have several online guides available, and those teachable links are in the video description. If you're looking for someone to speak to, I have partnered with BetterHelp, and their sponsored link is also in the video description. And just a little disclaimer that everyone is entitled to their own opinion. What people are not entitled to do, but believe they're entitled to do, is attack those who aren't willing to just agree with them. Go out there, create the day that you deserve, because you do deserve to have an amazing day. Bye.